There has been much made about how the Comey prosecution is just so different than anything we have ever seen before. Is it that much different, or is it just different because of the technical reasons inside the Justice Department, that whether it's a career prosecutor or whether it's an appointee and somebody resigned, on and on? I'm unclear why all of the technical parts of it and how it came to pass matter.
So I think depending on who you ask, there are people that would say politics have infected Department of Justice decisions for centuries. Well, for many years, right? That you could point to many prosecutions where there has been a political thumb on the scale. I think what's different here is that this is not being done behind closed doors. It's not being done with secret handshakes. So much of this is being done right out in the open. You have a president who's, posting on social media very clearly about his intentions with a list of people that he considers. I think it matters that it's being done in the open, because I think the American people, and I think you were right to say they're the ones that lose in all of this. I agree with you. I think there probably have been wrongs that have been done, and political persecutions, regardless of which party is the one that feels aggrieved, are wrong. We would hope this.
But let me ask you a different way. I mean, just to turn this around, isn't it kind of better that it's being done out in the public, right? Because then Comey can actually argue, I'm being persecuted because of politics. Whereas you think about when you had Biden's DOJ indicting President Trump and then sending somebody from the DOJ to the Manhattan office to prosecute Trump, and you had the January 6th prosecutions, we didn't know, or at least wasn't being said publicly, what the political bend of the prosecutions was. At some point, like, if you're going to do this, might as well tell the truth about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely an argument to be made that, like, doing it out in the open certainly enables Comey to be able to make the motions that he will undoubtedly make for selective or vindictive prosecution. I think the harm in all of this, though, is it really just erodes the American people's faith in the rule of law. And whether that should have been eroded decades ago and is just now being eroded because it's all being done in public, I can't opine on that. But I
love the line, the rule of law. Yeah, I love the line, the rule of law, because both sides love to say that when it's on their side, right? And we put it up yesterday, Mike. It was James Comey who, when Trump was indicted, says this is a good day for the rule of law. And then now that Comey's been indicted, it's Republicans who are saying that the rule of law has now been restored. I think the rule of law now is that whoever's in power is going to use that power as they see fit, right?
I think there's a massive difference between what's happened in the past today. Yeah, of course. Well, yeah. What would you expect? But I want to make this point, because we can discuss whether or not some of the things that Biden's DOJ did was correct or not, but it was largely an independent DOJ making those decisions. It was not President Biden directing those decisions specifically. There's been zero evidence of that. And I want to remind you, you said something in your monologue that I appreciated, which is Donald Trump's DOJ is not going after Republicans. Joe Biden's DOJ went after Democrats, okay? They indicted his son. They indicted Senator Menendez for corruption. They indicted Eric Adams for corruption. So they were going after both sides. Now, you might not like some of the ways they went after Donald Trump. We can argue whether or not that was fair. Donald Trump is intentionally suppressing any investigation into his people, including Tom Homan.
That's fair. But let me just ask you, like, I think we may find some agreement here, Nellis, because I think that you and I both agree that what made America different was that politicians didn't use their power to settle political scores, at least with the Justice Department. That was sort of sacrosanct. Now, politicians settle scores all the time in different ways. But when Letitia James ran for Attorney General in New York, she ran on the platform of getting Donald Trump. Take a listen.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
He should be charged with obstructing justice. I believe that the President of these United States can be indicted for criminal offenses.
We must do our job to ensure that the man currently occupying the Oval Office is held accountable to any and everything he has done.
After January 20th at 12 o'clock, our investigation will continue.
Okay, so here's the question, Mike. How do Democrats who did not speak out against her, and we have not found any who did and said this is wrong, we can't have this, how do they have any credibility now?
Well, I'll tell you that, like, if I was advising her, I would have advised her to be a little bit more cautious in those statements.
Yeah, no kidding.
General in the past, including Kamala Harris, who would never talk like that. And I like Tish James, so it's not a knock on her. I just think she was politicking, and we could talk about whether or not it's right or wrong. The difference is that Donald Trump was indicted, went through a trial, and was found guilty on 34 counts of fraud by a jury of his peers. That's not politics. That's the system working as it should. Donald Trump might feel like it's unfair for him to ever be held accountable for any crime he ever commits. He's really never been held accountable for anything. He's not even doing jail time for what he was found guilty of, by the way.
Which was a made-up charge, but okay.
It was not a made-up charge. No, it wasn't.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree on that. But look, I had on Congressman Cohen last night, and I asked him the very same question I asked you. Take a listen. And you didn't mind it when Letitia James did it. You're just justifying it. But when Donald Trump does it, it's terrible. So what's the difference?
Well, the difference is because he campaigned on putting prices on grocery stores down the first day, getting control of inflation. He hasn't. Grocery prices are still high as they can be. He's taking health care away from American
Congressman. It was like the third time we went around on that question, Mike. And don't Democrats need an answer to this that's not, oh, well, it was because Donald Trump was bad? I mean, if Comey is convicted, then he gets convicted by a jury, too. Does that make it fine that there was this behavior by Donald Trump?
Again, I just think there's a massive difference between the two because the DOJ under Biden was independent. Biden was not directing those moves. They moved forward. FBI was acting independently. That is not happening now. The FBI, the DOJ are acting because Donald Trump wants them to do that. No, but you can't. Show me the evidence where Joe Biden ordered them to go after them.
I think Berit just made the point, right? It was done silently. It was done in private. You don't have a SWAT team breaking down Roger Stone's door at 6 o'clock in the morning. And that not being a choice, we know that Biden directed the DOJ to go after abortion clinic protesters, for example, extraordinarily aggressively. You're not telling me there were political priorities put in the Biden DOJ? Come on.
Listen, I'm sure that there are people who are making political decisions all throughout the government, but there's a difference between the president of the United States directing people to go after their political opposition and not. Donald Trump is in the open saying, I'm going to go after every Democrat that I can, calling us scum, calling us miserable, saying he's going to get all of us because we're all dirty terrorists. Like he called, Stephen Miller called us that the other day. So this is a more dangerous moment. I'm not saying that there haven't been politics in the past. This is way beyond.
No, look, the reciprocity multiplier keeps going up. Berit, just
We're
from
a cycle of grievance. It's never going to end.
Well, 100%. Somebody has to stand up and say this is wrong, and I'm not going to do to others what have been done to me. But Berit, is there a check here from the judiciary? Right? I mean, the check and balance on the executive branch was supposed to be the judiciary. Where does that come from, for example, in the Comey case?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see how strong that guardrail still is. I anticipate you will see this check playing out, in pretrial motions that'll be made for vindictive or selective prosecution. You'll see the check in how, if we don't get the case dismissed before trial, we'll see how the judicial system plays out in checking this power through a jury trial, right? I mean, a judge has a lot of power. If not for the district court judge, then it'll go up to a court of appeals. You're going to see a lot of checks on this. The problem is this. It's hard to rely only on those because a lot of the damage is already done. Fine, Comey has funds to pay for Pat Fitzgerald. He can go through this, but there's reputational damage. But other people, you say, okay,
I'm not sure James Comey's reputation could be damaged much more than it already has. But
my point is, there is damage to be done.
Your point's made. Your point's made. Hey, Mike, Berit, this was a great conversation as always. Thank you both.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.